Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Shavua Tov and Beruchim Aba'im to everybody. Today, the 4th day of Iyar, corresponding to the 28th day of April 2020, the 19th day of the Omer. Perhaps the background looks familiar to the Kahal Kadosh, and I decided, due to the fact that the synagogue is empty and closed, so I'm going to come and record the class from the synagogue, which Be'ezat Hashem, it has a bit better reception for the iTorah platform and the daily recording. So Be'ezat Hashem, we begin with today's class. But before we begin with the class of today, the Jewish nation today remembers the fallen Israeli soldiers throughout our days. How many of them gave their life for the well-being of Am Israel in Eretz Israel. So I shared with the Kahal, virtual Kahal, that means in our morning Vatikim prayer, an article written by Chacham Rabbi Yosef, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, over 40 years ago, describing the zechut and the holiness of these souls who were killed al Kiddush Hashem, defending the Jewish people and defending the Holy Land of Israel. And he quoted a Gemara from Baba Batra describing that those that are killed al Kiddush Hashem, defending the Jewish people, they have a special chamber, if we can say, in Olam Haba, something very holy and something very special that not too many souls achieve that spiritual lofty goal. And he concluded the article with a prayer that Be'ezat Hashem, Hashem will redeem the Jewish people and Hashem will avenge the blood of those that were killed al Kiddush Hashem, the way that happened throughout the history of Am Israel. So with your permission, we dedicate the class in their memory. Regretfully, the numbers are too many, but Be'ezat Hashem, let us hope that today's class will serve as a reinforcement to our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and obviously to our connection to Eretz Israel. It's advisable, the way we have done earlier, to light a candle in their memory, give some charity in their memory. And one of the things that Chacham Rabbi Yosef alav shalom also wrote, it was, which by the way was distributed today via the Halacha Yomit from Israel in English and Spanish and in Hebrew, etc., that today's day should be utilized also as a day of Heshbon HaNefesh, as a day of spiritual accounting and spiritual well-being, to see what extra step we can develop to get closer and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. With that being said, we begin today discussing the Sefirah number 19. Today we have a powerful combination, the connection of Yaakov Avinu with Aharon HaKohen. Yaakov Avinu being the host and Aharon HaKohen being the guest of today. If you remember, when in the first or second week of the Omer, we discussed that the Sefirah of Aharon is actually, in English, literally it means beauty. That's the meaning of Hod. But also we added that the word Hod are the root letters of the word Hoda'ah, which Hoda'ah means gratitude. And one of the lessons that we learned today is to combine both Tzaddikim, the harmony of Yaakov Avinu, the wholesomeness of Yaakov Avinu, and the beauty of Aharon HaKohen. Aharon HaKohen the Kahal remembers the very famous Mishnah that says, Hillel Omer, Heve mitalmidav shel Aharon, Ohev Shalom, Berodev Shalom, Ohev et Aberiot, Unkarevan la Torah. Definitely one of the most famous Mishnayot of the Pirkei Avot that says a person must become a student of Aharon HaKohen. Aharon HaKohen loved the peace and pursued the peace. Aharon HaKohen loved everyone and brought people closer to the Torah. Let's discuss the first paragraph of this Mishnah. Ohev Shalom, Berodev Shalom. If there is a time in the Jewish calendar that this midah of Aharon must be activated, are the days of Sefirat HaOmer. And interesting enough, throughout the entire Jewish calendar, we have two particular times that morning is activated for all of Am Israel. And even though these are about events that happen thousands of years, yet we have the period of Sefirat HaOmer, and we have the period of the 3 weeks, that both of them are times for national mourning for all of Am Israel. We don't get married, we don't listen to music, we don't take haircuts, we restrain of some of the usual activity that we have in order to be part of the national mourning that we had been remembering for thousands of years. If the destruction of the second temple that took place in Tisha B'Av happened around 1952 years, give or take, the passing of the students of Rabbi Akiva wasn't much less than that, maybe a bit more than 1900, maybe 1920. So we are talking about that despite the fact that almost 2,000 years these national tragedies happen, we still are remembering them. I don't want to say the word celebrating them because there is nothing to celebrate, but we are remembering them. Remember. You know, in the Sephardic tradition, we have something called Hashkava, a memorial prayer. And in the Ashkenazi tradition, there is a prayer known as Iskor. Iskor means to remember. Both prayers mean exactly the same. We say meaningful prayers to elevate this beloved, the departed, the souls of the departed, whichever that may be. The other day we made a special memorial prayer for the victims of the Holocaust. Today we made a memorial prayer for the fallen Israeli soldiers. So to remember, it's imperative. Why? Because by remembering, we are able, hopefully, to understand that what the Gemara writes, that every generation that Tisha B'Av is remembered as a day of fasting and as a day of mourning for the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash is considered like if the Beit HaMikdash actually has been destroyed in our days. And this is something scary and unbelievable. So if we say that about Tisha B'Av, what do we say about the students of Rabbi Akiva? Perhaps we say every year that the days of the Omer are affected by the loss of mourning, it's like we are not different perhaps than the students of Rabbi Akiva. And let's be honest, this is the midah in a way of Aharon HaKohen. Ohev Shalom, Berodev Shalom. There are no coincidences in life. We believe wholeheartedly in the topic of Hashgacha Peratit, divine providence. So perhaps we must understand what should be our game plan, our strategy for today. And today is the day of Aharon. So we are going to concentrate with Aharon HaKohen and Yaakov Avinu as well. So Aharon HaKohen, we mentioned two explanations. Hod, beauty. Hoda'ah, gratitude. But Hoda'ah also means recognition. And that's why we say, Umodeh ve'ozev yeruham. A person that recognizes their shortcomings and makes a commitment to stay away from them, from the heaven, they will share with him, or they will shower upon him, compassion. So we understand now that the word Hod or Hoda'ah has three meanings. To beautify, to recognize, and to express gratitude. So let's see if from these three words we are able to give three different messages. Let's start with the first one. Hod, beauty. There is a pasuk in the Shirah that we say every day of our life. I'm sure the Kahal knows the pasuk that I'm referring to. Ze keli ve'anvehu. This is my God, and I will adorn him. This is the idea of beautifying the mitzvot. How beautiful our mitzvot become. Remember that the Navi talks about doing the mitzvot in a robotic manner. As the pasuk writes, Mizvat ha-nashim melumadah. The mitzvot become robotic, without feeling, without emotions. So let's talk about beautifying the mitzvot. Whichever mitzvah that means. If it means candle lighting for the wonderful ladies of Am Israel that are doing unbelievable performance in their home, juggling marriage, parenting, and the head of the household, especially that the husbands are at home and the children are at home. So definitely our wives deserve a great, and I'm not sure what even to say, Hazak u'Baruch. That's too small for everything that they have been doing from post-Purim through the entire Pesach, and dealing with the husbands and children at home is not something very easy to do on a regular basis. On a regular basis, the husband goes to shul, the husband goes to class, the husband goes to work, the kids go to school, etc. They have activities, they have programs, they have father and son minyanim. So they are busy. But when they are at home, and yet the wives continue leading the sheep in a most powerful and beautiful way. So I'll tell you what a husband can do besides helping home. One of the suggestions given was, perhaps in order to beautify the mitzvah of candle lighting, how many concepts can we say about beautifying the mitzvah of candle lighting? One, besides lighting the candles on a timely manner, is definitely using oil, the way the Gemara talks about, the great benefit of using candle oil instead of candles, although candle is fine. But maybe the wife lights candles because she does not have a candlestick. So maybe the husband, in honor of Aharon HaKohen today, buys the wife a beautiful set of candlesticks. Get your wife's blessing and approval before you do that. But I'm sure that the wives will be happy if the husband says, I got you a gift. And I don't mean a vacuum cleaner or a food processor. The way it happened many years ago, a husband called me up and he says, Rabbi, I don't understand. It was my wife's birthday and I bought her a beautiful, I think it was a vacuum cleaner. So I said to him, if you bought I think it's called the Roomba, the one that cleans by itself, maybe your wife says, wow, my husband is so thoughtful. He bought me something that I just put on the floor and automatically will save me of going around the house with a vacuum cleaner. But what did he do? He bought a normal freestanding vacuum cleaner, and the wife was upset. And I said to him, I will tell you she's right. What do you mean? I bought it for her. I said, you didn't buy it for her. You buy for her, it means something special that the wife can use, can enjoy, can benefit. And I'm using the candlestick because it's something meaningful, something beautiful, something specifically that the wife uses, and this is something that enhances the mitzvah that we do related to the candlestick, to the candle lighting rather. Obviously, a nice watch, jewelry, a gift, whatever that means, obviously will make a difference. But I'm only concentrating now when it comes to beautifying the mitzvot. Another way to beautify the mitzvot is the dress code while we pray. Obviously, when we come to the synagogues to pray, hopefully men and women are properly dressed to show the dignity and the sanctity of our synagogues. But what about our homes? Now that we are praying at home, are we dressed properly to pray? Yes. Although in English I think they say the cloth does not make the man, that means that even though the person may be dressed elegantly, it doesn't say much about the person. But from a Torah perspective, when a person dresses up properly in order to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this shows a sign of respect, a sign of honor, and reverence to the tefillah that we pray at home. And I'm not saying that you must wear a suit and a tie like I do most of the time. But I'm talking about presentable, clean, suitable, proper. That is a way that we also show a great love and kavod to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, especially when it comes to Shabbat. We already know what the Zohar HaKadosh says. And the Lacha says it as well, that one of the ways that we honor the Shabbat is to levush. Levush means garments. We are at home. I don't know how many Shabbatot we are at home. Probably 4, maybe more. Throw in Pesach, 2 days in the beginning, 2 days at the end. That's already 9 Shabbatot and Yom Tov that we are spending at home. Make sure that on Shabbat, even though we are at home, dress properly. Yes, perhaps wear a nice jacket, wear a nice tie. Why? Because this is part of glorifying and beautifying the mitzvot that we do to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I'm tempted to say the following. Of course, when we come to the synagogue and when we are on the street and we are seen by people, we try to show our best behavior and our best dress code. Maybe dress to impress. We leave it at that. But at home, when the Shekhinah comes, if we dress properly, what we are saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam, I'm doing it for you. I'm not doing it for no one else. That when I go on the street, people see me dressed properly to go to the synagogue, Hazak u'Baruch. But when I am home and no one sees me, with the exception of my wife, and in many cases of the audience, their children. But now when we are at home, we are in the chamber of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is fascinating concept because David HaMelech mentions this in chapter 27 of Tehillim. David HaMelech says, Shivti bebet Hashem kol yemei hayai, lahazor benoam Hashem ulbaker behechalo. I like to visit God in His chamber. Guess what? Our homes have the potential of becoming God's chambers. But even though, let's say, that a certain home or certain homes perhaps didn't achieve yet that lofty level of the home being also a miniature Bet HaMikdash by holiness, by sanctity, by Shabbat observance, by family purity, by clean language, by respecting each other. But at least when Shabbat Kodesh comes, that Shabbat comes and visits us, every one of us, individually and collectively, let Borei Olam take a picture of us and share it with the Malachim. Look, I went to the house of Moshe. I went to the house of Esther. And look how beautiful the Shabbat table was. Look how magnificent the candle lighting looks. Look how beautiful the dress code is in honor of Shabbat. And this is between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is message number 1 of Aharon HaKohen today. And if you have beautiful candlesticks and you're already dressed properly in honor of Shabbat, Hazaku Baruch. But I'm sure that if we look in the mitzvot, we will find areas that a mitzvot can be upgraded or can be enhanced. Buying a nicer pair of tefillin, if the tefillin that a person has is pashut, or a person has a tefillin from the bar mitzvah, buying talet na'ah, buying a beautiful talet, buying arba'at aminim. You set the example with your own particular needs. Ben Adam לחברו. Due to social distancing, until further notice, we cannot invite guests at home. Although I mentioned in the past that the main guest today is God, Borei Olam, that comes into our daily lives, especially Shabbat and Yom Tov. That is beautiful. But what is the environment when we don't have social distancing and family gets together to eat? And I'm including Shabbat and Yom Tov or weekday meals. In some families, Sha'at Achila, Sha'at Milchama. The moment of eating is the moment of war. Of the comments, of the statements, or attitude. Even when children, they argue with each other, they make the meal for the parents at times maybe unpleasant or unenjoyable. So today's message is that the moment that a person sits down to eat, to try to make it in the midah of hod. What does it mean, the midah of hod? Make sure that the meal time is a beautiful time. What does it mean? Speak pleasantly, compliment the wife for the tasty of the food. How many times I told my wife, you should take a picture of this dinner because it looks very elegant, very colorful, very delicious. Guess what? There is nothing wrong to say this to the spouse. It's actually a mitzvah. For this is called Tehiyat HaMetim in the mind of the wife. And we're not hacky here, we're not exaggerating. This is the reality of life. So one of the messages is that in the moment of food, it should truly be a moment of harmony and a moment of godliness, especially Shabbat and Yom Tov, that we have time, we're not running anywhere. And I'm not talking about only this particular few Shabbatot that we are isolated at home. I'm talking about any Shabbat of the year. Enjoy the meal, say the berachot, say words of Torah. Feel free to share with your family anything you learn from not only our class, but from any Torah class that you participate throughout the week, whatever part of the world you may be. When we add words of Torah to our Shabbat and Yom Tov meal, our table is comparable to the Mizbeach. The Gemara says it clearly. Shulchan dome la Mizbeach. What else we can add? We mention blessings. We mention words of Torah. We mention avoiding arguing on the table or discussing topics which are a bit volatile. And I witness it occasionally as I'm a guest sometimes, especially when I travel, that you hear sometimes comments that really are not too conducive to the holiness and to the sanctity of the Shabbat table. And we need to, as parents, we need to make sure to channel the environment and the atmosphere of the Seudah of Shabbat and Yom Tov in a peaceful, in a loving, in a holy manner. One more area, singing on the Shabbat table. I know that many people say, Rabbi, if I sing, the glass are going to break. If that happens, that means that you have a very special voice. But even if our voices may not be the best, singing on the Shabbat table, it also brings simcha, not only to everyone on the Shabbat table, but it brings simcha to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because singing is also part of the exercise that the neshama needs. Besides smell that we learned the other day, also the sound of music. And that's why every Shabbat we announce the makams, the special Syrian tunes when it comes to the prayers. And every week we have a different tune, but obviously this is not a class about Hazanut. I give the honor to the professionals to teach the masses the different concept of Hazanut and the different concept of Makamat. But every person can sing at home nice Torah songs. You have Pizmonim, you have Zemirot, you have songs, whatever you want to sing. It brings Kedusha and happiness to the table. There was a rabbi in Israel that many years back was asked a very interesting question. And the question came from a person from the community asking the rabbi, Rabbi, I'd like to understand how is it possible that the house of the great rabbi, none of the children became great rabbis as the father. But in the house of the businessman, the sons became Talmidei Hachamim. The rabbi said, I'll get back to you. It's a good question, and don't use this as the definite answer. But the rabbi came back the next day and called the fellow, and it says, I found out the answer. He says, okay, can you tell it to me? He says, when you come to the synagogue, after Mincha and Arvit, I'll tell you. Okay. The fellow respectfully accepted the rabbi's temporary answer and came to pray Mincha and Arvit. At the end of the prayer, the rabbi said to this fellow, you ask a very interesting question, but I got an interesting answer as well. Says, what was the answer? What do they do different? It says that he made the research and he encountered two different scenarios in both homes. In the home of the simpler person, the children sang Shabbat songs on the Shabbat table. And one child per week, or per meal rather, will share a short word of Torah. In the house of the learned men, the singing was almost non-existent, and every child or every son will give a Devar Torah. What that means is that the Devar Torah became a competition, and each one tried to outdo the other, which in a way, I will say something that I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. The students of Rabbi Akiva, why did they perish? Why did they die? The Gemara says, Lo nahagu kavod ze laze. They failed to respect each other. They looked down at their habrutot. Perhaps that was exactly what happened to that learned man's house. That yes, every son was saying a Devar Torah, but perhaps each son tried to outdo the brother. And therefore the Torah became like a competition instead of being a word of Torah to enhance the Shabbat table. And this was the answer that this rabbi gave to this fellow. Make the time of the Shabbat table a time of harmony, a type of cohesiveness. And Baruch Hashem, today the schools, they are going above and beyond what they can do remotely. But I'm sure that when the schools are open, they provide to the students with Perashiot questions and answers, and questions and Divrei Torah about the Perashah. Give the opportunity to the children. Give the opportunity, and if you don't have children, like at home, like many families go through this stage in life, share words of Torah of the Shi'ur. You don't remember anything? Buy yourself a book that has beautiful short messages of Torah. You know what I do at home? I'm sure many of you know this because I said it publicly in the past. Every Shabbat meal, we read a chapter from Living Emunah, the beautiful book written by my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi David Asher from Brooklyn, New York. And I tell you from a personal experience, that book definitely upgraded our lives, infuses our neshama with magnificent messages of emunah. And the rabbi already wrote 4 books, to my knowledge, for the adults. In 2 weeks from now, we are finishing the 3rd book. So imagine yourself how many years we are already reading volume 1, 2, and 3. So it takes to us an average of a book per year, because the book has over 104 small chapters, 1 page, 1.5 page long, with powerful messages, eye-opening statements, and heartwarming stories. Now, believe me, that Baruch Hashem, I have what to say. But yet, I usually don't say things that I say in the shi'ur to the kahal. because my wife usually listens to the shiurim that I give. And I say something different. I say something that also speaks to me in the message of emunah. And there is nothing wrong. And if you finish all the books, read them again. You know, when you take vitamins, you don't expect that a vitamin will make an effect overnight. We all know this. We take vitamins, and we take them, and we take them, and we take them, and then suddenly we start feeling a bit better, a bit stronger, with more energy. But it's something that requires hizuk, especially for the challenging moments that we are living. And with that being said, let's go, with your permission, to one more additional message. Ben Adam le'atzmo. Things for yourself. We spoke about beautifying the mitzvot in the beginning, whatever that means, in which level. Then we spoke about the meal time and the family time. And now we speak about Ben Adam le'atzmo. For me, myself, and I. Let me find the right page here. Couple of messages. Number one, try to add meaning to the things that we say and the things that we do. For example, counting our blessings. Many times, people take things for granted, and it's automatic. Guess what? I'm sure that the current situation made changes in our lives at all levels, especially besides the spiritual, obviously, in the emotional. If not taking anything for granted, of valuing life, of cherishing the family that we have around us, the friends, and the places of praying and the places of study. I believe personally that with this situation, the prayer of Modim hopefully became more meaningful to our lives. That we recognize Hashem's control in the world, in saying something that we see and we hear, regretfully, a lot of unfortunate tragedies. Good people, young people, holy people, wonderful, wonderful hachamim, community leaders that are leaving the world. And we hope and pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to fulfill upon the entire Jewish nation and mankind, Billah hamavet lanesach, that death will be abolished forever. But until that moment comes, Be'ezat Hashem, soon, amen, perhaps that we can make our life more meaningful by counting our blessings, by complaining less and complimenting more. And here it brings a beautiful comment in the Sfartem Lachem that brings a pasuk that says in the book of Tehillim, Hodu LaHashem ki tov, ki le'olam hasdo. Hodu LaHashem ki tov. Express your gratitude to the Almighty because His kindness is forever. The Zohar HaKadosh writes, and he says, Hodu be, Hodu LaHashem. It says, the first line of gratitude is to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And obviously connected to that is the gratitude to our spouses, to our parents, to our employers, to our teachers, to our rabbis, even to our children. And it goes further and it says that in a way, the way that a person is able to truly develop this midah in his life, the person needs to aim for a life of peace and a life of harmony, which is something unbelievable because the peace represents Aharon HaKohen and the harmony represents Yaakov Avinu. And even though peace brings harmony, but at the end of the day, we need to work on the peace. And that is why, as I said in the beginning of the class, if you ask yourself the common similarities between the Omer period and the 3 weeks of Echa period, the antidote for these 2 times of the year is Aharon HaKohen. Ohev Shalom, Berodev Shalom. The love of peace and the pursuing of peace. One more, he explains, a very interesting prayer. In the Amidah, we have the blessing of Refaenu, blessing of healing. What else we have? Barechenu, blessing of Parnasah. And then we have Teka b'shofar gadol lecherutenu. What does it mean? The prayer for salvation, the prayer for redemption. And in that prayer we say, Bekabesenu mehera me'arba kamfot ha'aris le'arsenu. This is a private prayer that we do in the Amidah, which means, Bekabesenu mehera, gather us speedily, me'arba kamfot ha'aris, from the 4 corners of the world, le'arsenu, to Eretz Israel. And here explains a very interesting concept, that this particular blessing, in a way, connects directly with Yaakov Avinu. Remember Yaakov Avinu, at the end of Perashah Vayehi, says to his children, Heasefu be'agida lachem, gather together, and I will tell you what's going to be when Mashiach will come. And Rashi explains, Yaakov Avinu ratza legalot et hakes. Yaakov Avinu wanted to reveal to his children the time of Mashiach's arrival. And from Shamayim did not allow him to reveal that information. I have some good news to tell you, that Yaakov Avinu did reveal the time of Mashiach's arrival. Perhaps not in a date format, the 4th day of Iyar 5780, which is today, Be'ezat Hashem, but he said it. He gave us the password to activate Mashiach's arrival. And the key word is He'asefu. Unite yourself. Gather yourself. What was the reason Second Temple was destroyed? The Gemara writes, Sinat Hinam. There were many sins, but the one on top of the list was baseless hatred, lack of unity, lack of peace, like of harmony among people. The students of Rabbi Akiva, the current period, lo nahagu kabod ze laze. They did not respected one another. Believe me, between baseless hatred and lack of respect, in Hebrew we say zo nevela, zo terefa. They both pasul. They both unfit. They both are a recipe for disaster. And this is what Aharon HaKohen and Yaakov Avinu are telling us. Heasefu, ohev shalom, berodev shalom. Gather together, be united, be harmonious. Somebody asked me the other day in one of the Zoom classes, God, what God wants from me. It says, how is your shalom bayit? So he tells me, not good. I'm counting the days that I'm able to go back to work. I said to this fellow in my common, a pleasant mode, maybe this is your mission at home. Work on your marriage. Try to make the best out of it. Because, like the story that I said many years back, and I'll finish in 3 minutes, at 10:30, I'll be back in Spanish via itorah.com be'ezat Hashem. So for those that speak Spanish, feel free to join us. Like the fellow who went to the rabbi and asked him for an advice that was struggling in his Shalom Bayit efforts. And the rabbi gave him a couple of tips. And a week later, the rabbi said to him, the rabbi sees that this fellow is in shul, schmoozing, talking, very happy. And the rabbi felt good. Says, wow, my advice helped. So approaches the fellow and asks him, I'm happy to see that things are better in your marriage. And he says, Rabbi, why do you say that? He says, because I see you smiling. I see you that you're very happy. So I figured that things are better. The fellow says to the rabbi, Rabbi, you know what I did? If I'm the rabbi, he said, maybe he bought a beautiful gift to his wife and wrote an apology letter. The guy said, Rabbi, I moved out. I rented an apartment for myself. And I'm so happy. And the rabbi said to him, that is not the true meaning of happiness. That means you're escaping from your reality, or from your obligation, or from your responsibility as a Jewish husband. Leave the apartment, go back home, and start working in your marriage. The man was humble enough to accept the rabbi's suggestions. He did what he needed to do. And don't ask me if he gave a deposit, what happened if he broke the lease. That was not part of the story. The story message is that moving out or throwing in the towel is not the solution. But the solution is of Aharon HaKohen. Ohev shalom, berodev shalom. Love the peace, pursue the peace, go the extra mile to preserve the harmony and the sanctity of our homes. Have a great day, everybody. Shavua Tov umevorach, and we'll see each other in a few minutes for the Spanish class.
Cool.